Before we begin, dear viewers of Turkish Spotlight Secrets, take a breath and get comfortable. What follows isn't mere chatter about celebrities, it's a moment where melody turns into a message, where quiet pauses become their own language, and where two people who once drifted apart suddenly find themselves pulled into the same orbit again. Pour your tea, settle into your seat, and let's step into a tale that has stirred Turkish media, revived old emotions across the internet, and left everyone asking a single trembling question: can one song bring love back from the past? It started as an easygoing television special, the kind of broadcast that promises playful banter, breezy games, and a little impromptu music. A background show for half-focused viewers scrolling their feeds. No one sensed the shift coming. Midway through the night, the host flashed a grin, turned to Barış Arduç, and suggested he try the piano, play anything that called to him. The room felt ordinary for a second, lights humming, crew moving calmly, until he sat down, settled his hands on the keys, and let a hush fall like a soft curtain. He took a long inhale, the kind that steadies a heartbeat. Then, with a voice that somehow carried more meaning than the words inside it, he offered a fragile dedication: "This is for you, Elçin. Our roads may be different now, but some memories won't go quiet." A small shock traveled through the studio like static. One cameraman later confessed he had to lock his arms to keep the lens from shaking. Even the host, usually witty and quick on his feet, found himself blinking, searching for something to say and coming up empty. The first notes glided out. What came next wasn't just a performance, it was a confession draped in melody. The ballad he chose has long been tied to longing. Songs of return and unfinished chapters that haunt the spaces between people. His voice stayed steady until he reached the verse about a door left slightly open. There, just for a breath, it faltered. It was enough. The viewers felt what he didn't have to spell out. They felt the intention in every held note, in each pause that lingered a half-second too long, in the flicker across his face when the memory hurt. Within moments, the live comments swelled into a storm. People typed faster than they could think: "He still loves her. Someone tell her to watch. They belong together." Hearts caught up in a tide they didn't realize was still moving. But the true aftershock hit once the broadcast ended. 12 minutes after the credits faded, Elçin Sangu posted on Instagram. Not a paragraph. Not a video. Not a carefully curated, brand-friendly message. She chose a simple monochrome photo and wrote only 2 words: "I listened." And that was all it took. Those 2 words ricocheted across social platforms, turning a sweet, unexpected musical gesture into a nationwide conversation about second chances, unresolved feelings, and the ache of stories paused mid-sentence. A close friend of Elçin spoke quietly on a morning show, her voice cautious and full of care. She didn't anticipate anything like this. When she watched it live, she cried. It wasn't sorrow in the usual sense. It was something deeper. A feeling she hadn't allowed herself to touch in a long time. Another insider said her hands shook as she replayed the performance over and over. She said it felt like opening a journal she thought she'd put away for good, reading the lines she wrote when everything was still warm, the source shared. It hurt, but it also glowed. Barış Arduç and Elçin Sangu's bond has always captivated the public. Not because it was chaotic or scandalous, quite the opposite. It was tender, human, a connection that didn't need loud displays to be felt by those around them. Friends often described what they had as too intense for the pace of the industry they live in, beautiful but fragile under the weight of schedules, obligations, and the constant pull of separate ambitions. They never announced a reason for stepping apart, but each spoke about the other with steady respect whenever asked. Long ago, in a quieter interview, Elçin said something that now returns with new resonance: that certain chapters in life aren't just written, they leave marks. The kind that don't fade, no matter how many pages you turn. They hadn't been seen together for ages. Then fate, or music, or both, nudged them toward the same center again. Not long after the episode, a devoted fan account stitched the performance with nostalgic behind-the-scenes moments from their shared work. Laughter between takes, a hand on a shoulder, a look exchanged when the camera wasn't meant to capture anything at all. The montage flew past 1 million views in a day, stirring memories many thought they had tucked away. Suddenly, timelines filled with old clips, quotes, and lines from past interviews. Everyone seemed to be asking the same thing: was this a prelude to something more? Colleagues chimed in. An actress who has worked with both of them told a radio host, "You could feel their chemistry even when no one was filming. It wasn't performance energy, it was theirs." That single sentence sent speculation skyrocketing. Meanwhile, people close to Baris insisted the moment on the piano wasn't a calculated move. One person put it plainly: he didn't sit there to feed headlines. He did it because he believes their story doesn't end where it paused. But what about Elçin? Could she possibly be standing on the same emotional ground? 2 days later, photographers caught a glimpse of her slipping into a small cafe in Istanbul. She wore a long coat, carried a notebook, and kept her head down, as if trying to move through the world as softly as possible. Observers noticed what cameras can't help but notice: on her finger was a ring, simple silver, discreet, with a tiny engraving inside, the one Baris gave her on their 3rd anniversary. No one walked up to ask for context. No one had to. The image spoke in its own quiet way. By the end of that week, she attended a charity gala. The press gathered near the entrance, unsure whether to ask questions that might bruise something delicate. At first she answered with polite smiles and short replies. But then, almost as if she decided it was time to ease a bit of the tension, she paused and turned toward the microphones. "Sometimes a melody can say what years of conversation don't manage to convey," she said softly. "I heard it. And yes, it reached me." She didn't add more. She didn't need to. The internet didn't wait for an official statement. A phrase blending their names surged to the top of trending lists. Fans began circulating petitions, pleading for them to reunite on a project. Producers hinted that a joint script could materialize if the timing aligned. Edits flooded timelines, weaving clips into mini-narratives, each one scripting a reunion in the way only fans can: hopeful, breathless, a little reckless. A day later, paparazzi photographed Baris stepping out of a recording studio late in the evening, jacket over his shoulder, eyes tired in a way that suggested long hours. Whispers immediately gathered: was a new track in the works? Was it about her? A bold reporter called out, asking directly if the song was inspired by Elçin. He gave a small, almost shy smile and answered, "Some stories deserve another try at an ending." 6 words, and the internet shook again. There is no official announcement. No sit-down interview to demystify the moment. No scheduled appearance placing them side by side with that familiar, effortless ease. And yet something in the atmosphere has shifted. The distance that once felt certain now seems thinner, like tracing paper that could tear with a single memory. For now, whatever is forming between them dwells in gestures and echoes: a ring quietly worn, an old melody returned, a message posted with only 2 words. Maybe this is the first page of a second chapter. Maybe it's a gentle closing after one last song. Either way, the effect of that evening cannot be denied. With a piano, a voice, and a dedication that took everyone by surprise, Baris didn't just reach Elçin. He stirred the emotions of an entire country that remembers exactly how it felt to believe in their connection. And that brings us to the end of this chapter in our unfolding story. If you felt even a spark of nostalgia, hope, curiosity, or heartbreak while listening, make sure you're following Turkish Spotlight Secrets, tap subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss our next deep dive. Before you go, share your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Baris and Elçin will find their way back to each other? Can a song truly guide 2 people home, or does it simply reopen the door to old aches? If it were your life, would you give love another chance? Your voice shapes where this narrative goes next. Until we meet again, dear viewers, may your days be calm, your nights full of music, and your heart open to the stories we uncover here at Turkish Spotlight Secrets.